You said something that stood out earlier that I would love to touch on. You said gangsters nowadays have no allegiance, no loyalty. It's all for one. I ask this question of most of my guests who have served prison time, 10, 20, 30 years of prison time. And I love a point of view from someone who was on the other side of the bars. In your opinion, what percentage of people are behind bars right now because someone snitched on them?
That's a great question, and I'm gonna have to break it up and say what percentage of people are behind bars because someone snitched on them, and what percentage of people are behind bars because they were in association with someone who committed a crime. I'm not gonna go over 50%, probably 20%. Well, let me just say this: I think that in today's society, that percentage is much higher. If you go back to the late 70s, early 80s, early 90s, then snitching was not the thing to do. It wasn't put it this way, snitching was not the culture. Today, snitching is the culture.
Yeah.
So I say if you went to jail probably within the last 10 years, then yes, that percentage goes up over 50% because someone snitched on you. Because yes, there is no loyalty for the gangs, to the gangs, for people, or anything. I mean, you can see it on social media, how people are, saying things about who did something to them. And these are things that when we were kids, no, you would never say what someone else did to you. But now they're doing it all over social media.
Oh man, and out in the open too. It's crazy. And not only that, they're snitching on themselves. I mean, they're putting guns in the video. They're putting, drug. I mean, it's like you are literally, and they're talking about it in rap songs nowadays. Oh yeah, I did such and such on this street, and then the cops are just piecing this together. I say cops now, gone are the days, and tell me if I'm off, but gone are the days where officers had to go door to door and with their legal notepad with the pencil and say, hey, do you know anything about this crime? Now they just kick up their feet in the office, get a fake Instagram account, follow a bunch of dumb rappers who are posting shit, and just literally piece all the puzzle together.
You're exactly right. As a matter of fact, the institution that I worked at, there was a guy that they had, and that was his job, was to monitor Facebook. And he would go on Facebook to see if prisoners in the prison had cell phones or anything like that by monitoring Facebook and see who was posting things. And a lot of times that's how we knew who had cell phones. It would be through Facebook because they would be posting pictures of themselves in jail on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
There it is.
So let me just say this. So, yeah, kids are more sophisticated, but at the same time, they're not loyal to themselves or other people. And there's this entitlement thing going on. There's this boisterous thing going on. There's this thing where kids or young adults want to feel like they are popping the most, or they want to feel like, they're rich, or they have expensive clothes, expensive cars, expensive jewelry. So they are more boisterous about saying how they, got these items. And I mean, we have to go back to, rap music and what rap music means. And I did a intervention in a prison 2 years ago, Slow Prison. And it was a intervention on anti-human trafficking. And we got into the subject of why these young men, participated in trafficking. And I asked a question and I said, hey, let me ask you guys something. Raise your hand if you learned to disrespect a woman through rap music. It was 21 kids. Every one of them raised their hand. Every one of them raised their hand. And this is where they learn to call women the B word, the H word, or any other word that, you could think of to dehumanize and despise women. It's where they learned it from. And it's also where they're learning their masculinity through rap music that tells them robbing, stealing, and having expensive clothes is how you establish yourself as a man. which is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and that's why we're having these rash of snatch and grabs in Beverly Hills and all over our city because these kids want to go on the devil's palette, which is social media, and show people that, yeah, I'm popping the most,
Yep.
when you only have one pair of Louis Vuitton shoes, but you're posting them every day. You want people to think that you are buying them every day when no, you're looting this stuff and you're showing it on social media to say that, you're the man or you're the woman or you're the boss man now. But you don't know. You're going to go down because everything's on tape now. Everything's been recorded now, you know. And these kids are going to be found and they're going to be put in jail. And what they're going to do is they're going to stiffen the penalty with these crimes. That's what happens when they happen at the rate that
Yes.
they're happening
Tell
now.
them, dude. We're going to see the
Then
1994 crime bill all over again, which,
all over again. And they're going to stiffen the penalty on snatch and grab crimes or crimes, of this nature. And it's going to be ugly. It's going to be just like the 80s when they came out with use a gun, go to jail, automatic 25 years. And then they came out with the gang enhancement law, which if you did a robbery and it gave you 10 years and it was for the benefit of a street gang, they tacked another 15 years on there. So now you're looking at 25 years in prison. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to take a while to get that change in legislation, but that's eventually what's going to happen. And they're probably going to make it specific to certain areas. If you commit a crime in Beverly Hills, bro, you got 10 years straight off the bat.
they don't play that shit, man.
No, they don't. They don't play at all. Let me just say this. I used to tell my young guys that I work with, look, you have two reasons why you're here. Number one, you committed a crime. I don't blame you for that because I understand where you came from. I came from the same environments that you came from. But you got 2, 3 years here, 5 years, 10 years. How many ever years are here? This is what I need you to do. I need you to get your high school diploma, your GED, or pass your high school proficiency test. Because this is what's going to happen. You're going to mature. You're going to mature and you're going to say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want a new life. And if you haven't completed those three things, one of those three things, you're going to do about face. And you're going to go back to all those things you were doing that got you there. So please, young man, young woman, get your high school diploma, GED, or pass the high school proficiency test before you leave here. You have nothing to do. We will help you get it done. But get that done before you leave because I know that one day you're going to mature. It may be 15, it may be 16, it may be 17, it may be 18, it may be 19, it may be all the way up until 24, which is the length of time that CYA, now DJJ, can hold an individual up until age 24 if they are a mental health case. If they're not a mental health case, they could only hold them up to age 21. But I would tell them all the time, please get your education done because you're going to need it one day. You're not going to be in this frame of mind one day. And if you don't have it done, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I'm all about change, and we know there's a problem in the system, the prison system, the judicial system. It's not perfect by any means. Let's say that. I'm not going to say there's a problem. I'm going to say it's not perfect. But if you had a magic wand and could change anything about the prison system, the jail system, judicial, what would you do?
First off, we need to stop. Basically, the court system is a bunch of plea deals, guilty or not. There are a lot of young men that are in prison for something that they didn't do. There are a lot of men in prison for something they did do, but not to the extent in which the courts proved them that they done. So first we have to start there with these plea deals and understand that when you place a young man, black, brown, in one of those situations, the results are not going to be good, And I'm not saying those who have been proven guilty for crimes in which they need to pay. But there's a gray area in there. You talked earlier about guys saying that they're in prison because somebody snitched on them. Well, hell, you did it.
Yes. Exactly.
You did it.
At the end of the day, you did
So
it.
you need to pay. At the end of the day, you need to pay. So I don't buy that. But there's some people that are accessory to situations, and I think you have to look at the whole person. I have a young man. He's doing well now, but he got locked up for 5 years, all because he was sitting in the back of a car with someone who committed a robbery and had a gun. He did not know this person committed a robbery. He did not know this person had a gun. But because he was in the back of the car, he did 5 years of his life in CYA. And that was wrong, because they didn't believe this young man that he didn't know any of these things, So I'm, as a matter of fact, I support Gascon. I support him 100% because I understand that when you send these young men to prison for long periods of time, they get lost. When you send a 15-year-old man to prison, when he gets out at age 30, he's still 15 years old in a lot of ways.
Wow, that's deep.
And that's a shame. I'm not saying don't hold those accountable who should be held accountable. But what I'm saying is we need to take a closer look at case-by-case situations and really decide, does this person need this kind of punishment? Maybe probation would help with this young man who's in the back seat, who really doesn't know that this guy has a gun and who really doesn't know that this guy did a crime. Maybe he only needs probation. Maybe he needs an alternative program to go through because now he's got a wake-up call and he's scared as hell. If he didn't do the crime, why is he doing so much time? If he didn't do the crime, then why is he doing so much crime?
I'm so glad I asked you that question. And it makes it more deep and impactful coming from an officer of the law, someone who's upheld the law for 29 years. I would expect that answer. I would definitely expect that from someone out there committing crime. And I just want to tell you that's a deep, impactful answer, because it makes it. This is why I respect police officers. I've always respected peace officers. Anybody in law enforcement, always respected. Never been one of those fuck the police guys. I used to love the NWA song, I can't lie. That was my shit.
Right.
But I've always had respect. Even to this day, if I see an officer, hey, thank you for your service, when I get pulled over, it's, what did I do, officer? And my thing is, I used to get pulled over a lot when I was between maybe 15 and 19 or 20, right? And you know what? When I look back at it as a 45-year-old man, it's because as soon as I got my financial aid check, I went out, I got the biggest rims, I got the loudest sound system you could possibly get, I got the darkest tint windows, and I dressed the part. So I was like, yes, I should have got pulled over. You know what I mean? I don't even remember the last time I got pulled over. It's probably been 15 years because you know what? I'm rolling in a 2017 random something, nothing flashy. I'm just chilling. I'm not causing, an issue. And I'm not saying that that's right when police do that. I'm just saying, I don't know why I'm saying that, but I just want to wrap it up by saying that was a great answer, dude.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. I have to thank God, man. I didn't want the big rims. I didn't want the Star Stuff jeans. I didn't want the Pendleton shirt. I didn't want the black hat. I didn't want the Pro Club shirts. I didn't want any of that. What I wanted was a better life. I wanted peace. Yes, I was pulled over on 75th between Vermont and Hoover by the crash unit, LAPD gang unit, sat down on a curb, talked to, they took my name down, tried to see if I had any tattoos or anything like that. Yes. But I was also pulled over in Ventura County for driving down the street on a Sunday afternoon, listening to jazz and enjoying my evening for being black while driving slow. And the officer told me, I asked the officer, I said, why are you pulling me over? He said, you were driving slow and that's suspicious. I said, no, I'm driving slow because I'm enjoying my music and it's a beautiful afternoon, sir. And then he goes on to say to me, he says, so why did you put your hands out the window? I said, because this is an unfamiliar place with black people and I wanted to make both of us safe. He took my license and he ran it, and the dispatcher said, this gentleman is a peace officer with the state of California. He came back to my car and he looked crazy and he said, sir, I'm sorry. You are free to go.
Man.
Not to mention the time when I was turning off Artesia and Western and I saw a police car with a gentleman in it. The window was down. I turned and I looked at the gentleman and I stared at him. As soon as I got past him, he hit the lights and he pulled me over 2 blocks away, and it was a white cop. And I said, sir, why are you pulling me over? He said, you looked at me suspicious.
What
I
the
said,
fuck? Is that a crime?
I said, that's because you're the shortstop on the police Olympic team, and we played against you guys last year, and I thought I knew you.
Wow.
Everything about him dropped.
Changed. I'm
He goes,
an asshole now.
He goes, oh,
You should feel
I'm
like
sorry.
an asshole. Yeah.
Not to mention when the cop pulled me over in Gardena and he says, I'm pulling you over because you have dark tinted windows. I said, sir, I have dark tinted windows because I do the same job that you do and I have my family in my car and I want to be safe.